Hey everyone, welcome to Stuff I Never Learned from a Schoolbook. If you're looking at the Bearded Wonder, this is Tom Springer. If this is your first time here, welcome to the show. If you're a repeat offender, welcome back. It's been a couple of weeks since I had a show, so welcome back to everybody who was missing us. I see a couple people have already popped in earlier, so hello everyone. Thanks for coming in. Again, if you're popping in, it's Monday, 7 p.m. Central, 8 Eastern, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific. Hold on, I got to do the conversion again because we just jumped forward. I think you're 2 out in Hawaii. You are, I want to say, 5 or 6 a.m. out in Indonesia, and anywhere from 9 a.m. to noon tomorrow out in Australia. So welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming on. We just had our spring forward here, so our clocks jumped ahead a bit, so I'm a little off right now. So anyways, welcome to the show. You know how it works. Everyone's saying hi already, so I'm just going to go ahead and bring in my special guest. My guest today is someone who I have kind of researched a little bit on. She has a killer accent, so get ready for this one, folks. This is going to be a good one. But anyway, everyone say hello to Miss Kell Ridley. So hi, Kell. How are you?
Hello, I'm great, thank you.
Good. So let's see. We already had Mike popping in and saying hi. So what's going on? Jeanette popped in a few minutes earlier to say she's ready for this one. Nicole, this is actually my wife. She's actually on her way back from one of her appointments. She's just saying hi to everybody. Kyle's jumping in to say, hey, what's up, brother? How you doing? Jamie is one of our resident followers and frequent member guest on the show. And Miss Debbie is actually, hi, Deb. Deb's actually the one who's following you next week. Her show is coming on next week on here. So, hey, everyone. Cool. Everyone say hi to Kell. So welcome to the show. We kind of talked beforehand, and, I pretty much Facebook stalked you for a little bit to find you and everything else, because that's how I kind of ran into you, is you were a friend suggestion. Right. And so, hey, Primal. So you were a friend suggestion, and you popped up, and you looked really familiar to me. I don't know why, but I was like, I already know who she is, and I don't know why that is. But I felt like a very strong connection to you right away, and I'm like, okay. So I reached out to you, introduced you to my crazy show.
Yeah.
Said, are you wanting to come on here? And you said, sure. And I went, okay, well, awesome. So that's your fault. Remember, you said yes. So
yes, I know.
So welcome. Thank you for doing the show. I appreciate it.
Not a problem.
Got a bunch of people popping in to say hi to you as well. Kyle's saying hi to you. Primal saying hello to you as well. Debbie saying hi to you as well. Yep. See, like I said, everyone's going to pop in and say hi. This is going to kind of happen as we keep going. Cool. So if you would do me a huge favor, introduce yourself. And, my normal question, I kind of warned you ahead of time, and the audience knows it's coming because they're used to it. Can you please give an introduction to yourself, how you got started, and kind of what you're doing, how you got started, what you're doing now, and then we'll go from there and start breaking it down even more.
Right. I've been at the paranormal since I was a child. I used to have experiences from as being about 6-year-old, knowing things I couldn't possibly know. I had an operation when I was 6 on my kidneys, and basically I flatlined when I was during the operation. And from then on, it was I just knew things. I would have dreams, or I would tell my mum stuff, and it would creep my mum out a little bit. And then I basically got into the paranormal. Used to do projects at school. Everybody would talk about the bunny rabbit or stuff like that. And then I would talk about ghosts and stuff like that. Everybody used to think I was a bit weird. And yeah, so it started from there. I had my first full apparition experience when I was 9-year-old. I was in a friend's house while playing hide and seek in the dark. I went into her back room, and I thought my friend was leaning against the back wall and crying, and I put my hand through her and realised it wasn't her.
Oh.
So it turns out when I went run home crying to my mum, she spoke to a neighbour, and apparently a little girl had died of smoke inhalation in that back bedroom in the 1950s.
Oh wow! So she was still there. Was it something that she was? Did she realize that she had passed, or do you know did she realize she had passed, or was she just reliving it over and over again?
I don't know. I mean, back then I wasn't really. I didn't have a clue what the hell was going on. Being so,
I didn't know if you kind of researched it since then at all or anything, so I didn't know. So
I mean, from what I know now, she didn't sort of react to us or nothing like that, so it wasn't like an
okay,
haunting, as far as I'm aware.
okay. So you are you have your own team now.
Yeah,
You've been members of other teams in the past, but you have your own team now. What team is
yeah.
that?
It's Geordie Supernatural Research.
Yeah, and you also are part of what I read up on was an SPR. Um,
Yeah, member. Yeah,
yeah, a member of the Society for Psychical Research. Is that right?
yeah, that's
Okay.
right.
So, and for people who don't know what they do, can you please explain? So just people know here, so I'll just explain. I am a nerd by heart, so I hunted you down, found your site, found out what you're a member of, read it all already. So I know when the first two people who started it up, when it started up, what they've done since then. So, but if you could help explain what you're doing in there, in that group, that would be fantastic.
The Society of Psychical Research has been around since the 1800s. It's basically just they look into the paranormal, but they do like the hauntings, like the Enfield haunting and stuff like that. You've got to have it like, how do I explain this? It's they like their investigations done the right way, as they say. Basically, you can't just go in with a spirit box or nothing like that and just trying to ask if anybody's there and stuff like that. They try and do it the scientific way,
Right.
but they've got archives that of absolutely thousands and thousands of hauntings that's been reported to them. So basically, I only become a member just to like obviously look in the archives to research stuff, and it's just immense some of the stuff that it's gone there.
Yeah.
It's like I say, all the paranormal poltergeist cases and stuff like that in the UK, and there's one actually near to where I live called the Haunting of Wilton Mill, and that was in the 1800s, and they've got that in there. So that was interesting to read. They've got like things like Bowley Rectory down south of
Oh yeah.
England. That's interesting. Yeah, so it's a shame
Yeah.
that place isn't there anymore. I'd love to investigate there.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I was reading up on the site. So for people who want to know, it's called the Society for Psychical Research, or the SPR.
Mhm.
If you go out there and take a look, there's a bunch of information for it. If you type in SPR, it's the very first thing that pops up on my Google search. But then they have a lot of background information too, so you can kind of see who some of the people were who were involved with this.
Yeah.
And it's quite a powerful list of names. It says that back then, I'm looking at it right now, that's why you see me turning away, sorry, but it says that some of the studies were hypnotism, disassociation, thought transference, mediumship, Reichenbach phenomena, apparitions and haunted houses, and the physical phenomena associated with seances.
Yeah.
Is basically where kind of everything you guys cover. And it's even come up with different publications, even back from 1886, where they did the first ones of the Phantasm of the Living. And it was focusing on telepathy and apparitions. So it's very scientific when you read this.
Yeah.
I find it really fascinating, but again, I am a nerd. But for some of the people who want to know, there's actually been, there was a request for a contribution to a special medical edition from his proceedings to Sigmund Freud. So, like I said, there's a lot of very interesting names that have been tied in with this, and who have gone through and worked with this. So it's just kind of really cool. That, I mean, it even says that Arthur Conan Doyle was part of this as well. So it's a very strong, very rich background as far as what you're working with here, and you're just kind of taking it and moving on the legacy to the next steps to what you're doing now.
Yeah.
So that's very cool. When you first started out, and you started seeing spirit, ghosts, whatever you want to call them, did you kind of freak out? Was it something that you were just kind of like, whoa, why am I seeing this? Or is it just kind of a, or was it just kind of a, all right, I'm seeing this so type of thing?
I'm not sure whether I seen a ghost when I was 3-year-old. I've got a memory, which I'm not sure whether it was a dream or an actual memory, of a girl walking down the stairs in the long night in my mum's house. And she fell down the stairs and broke her neck from what I could tell. But I can't tell if that was a dream. When you're a kid and you have a memory, so it gets vague after years. So I'm not sure if that was my first experience with the paranormal or not. But as I got older, obviously the one when I was 9-year-old was the first full-on that I've seen. So that completely freaked me out. Completely. So even up to like a few years ago, I think about in 2012 when I seen a full apparition again, and that freaked me out also, and I also ran with
that. So do you see a lot of full I mean, I know some people will sense them or feel them or whatever else, but some people can just straight up see them. Are you one that just straight up sees them and just deals with them as they come?
I used to be able to sense them. I used to be able to like obviously hear things in my head. My family used to think I was crazy. But then when I got a little bit older, I realised what it was. I had a really strong gift up until I think it was about 6 years ago when I had an accident and I ended up in a wheelchair for 2 years and it disappeared. It completely. It's just starting to come back over the last 2 years, I would say.
Wow. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Nicole is asking, have you always accepted your abilities or have you ever shut them down for a while?
I did in my early 20s. I tried to shut them down because I was that accurate. I was scaring myself. So it was something I didn't want at the time.
Yeah. How'd that work out for you?
Didn't work. I tried my best to ignore it to make it go away. It sort of went away for about a week or two, and I was enjoying it. And then all of a sudden came back, and it was like, oh my God. How it came back, I actually went to a friend's party with my best friend, and I got a little bit drunk, and I started seeing things when I was drunk that I can't remember, but my friends can, and I freaked them out completely.
I'm sure. Yeah, because once you got drunk, you're basically how you locked it down opened up, and you were like, oh, yeah. And everyone's just sitting there waiting and like leaning, and they're like, wait for it. Wait, okay, she's open. Go. Yeah, so that's interesting. When you're investigating on teams, are you guys using any tools, or are you just? I mean, so let me ask this: is your team? Are you the only person with abilities on your team, or are there others?
My best friend, basically, she is a little bit sensitive. She can pick up on certain things. But I would say I'm the only person on the team. I mean, I've got a skeptic on the team, complete skeptic.
Oh, yeah.
And then my best friend and me. That's basically all there is.
How does your skeptic work? Is it a he or she?
He's my son-in-law.
Does he always like? Has he ever accepted any of it, or is he just like straight up skeptic? Nope, that was because of this, or nope, that could be debunked, or has there ever been something that he just went, I can't explain that?
There was an investigation that we did on Halloween. He just couldn't explain. I think it was just the SLS camera, to be fair, and instead of moving it around all the time, he had it in one place, and there was something popped up. And he was like, he had no explanation for that whatsoever.
Yeah.
So he was like scratching his head with that one.
But still a skeptic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He still doesn't believe in them.
Just gonna. But yet he still goes on the investigations with you guys.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So I wonder if it's is he to the. He's a skeptic, but is he a skeptic that wants to believe, or is he?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Or I just didn't know if he was a skeptic that just wanted to prove everybody wrong.
No, I think he wants to believe it. He wants to see something to prove that the afterlife exists.
Yeah.
He's one of these people. He's got to see it to believe it. So
Yeah. Yeah, I have friends like that too. They unless you just, regardless of how much evidence, quote unquote evidence, you show them, they'll always have a reason for why it's not what you say it is.
yeah.
So I'm like, well, I don't know how much more evidence I can give you outside of the fact that I was just talking to the person.
Yeah.
So with that, do you guys use any equipment, cameras, video, audio, kind of the whole run, or do you guys have a specialty type items you guys use, or?
Yeah, well, I've got virtually all the equipment, REM pods, K2 meters, SLS cameras. I've got UV cameras, but I've also got experiments that nobody else has got.
Oh, nice.
But I prefer doing it old school, just with your camera, like your phone, and doing it like that way.
Yeah, yeah, that seems to be the way that I have gone. We have equipment, but my number one source is myself. I mean, obviously that's probably yours too, is yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But it's nice just to at least have a little camera with you and like maybe one recording device or something like that, so you can kind of confirm what you're hearing if it comes through. My wife will tell you that she had a recording of a little girl, and you can hear it clearly as day on her very first place she went. Well, her first place that she went to try to get any information on, but we couldn't hear it with the human ear. You can only hear it play back through the tape. So it's nice to have the recording.
Yeah.
Because when you go back and listen to it, sometimes, because there's no prejudice in a recording at all. They're not trying to do anything different. That's just what they're built for. Just as our eyesight and our hearing can be a little biased one way or the other, the imagery and the audio, they don't have that luxury.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So so when you are using equipment, what's your go-to?
I don't know. I quite like. I've got an SB11 spirit box. I like that. But like I say, I just like walking around with my cameras. I set everything up and then I just disappear on my camera. Yeah.
All right, I have to ask because I have one of the old SB7 spirit boxes. 7 or 11? Which one's better?
I've never tried a 7, so I would have to say 11.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I've had some good results off the 11, I must admit. So
yeah. I know that I say that to you, but I know that my audience is listening as well over there next to you on the chat. So I'm sure that if people are have had experience with both of them, they'll chime in and let me know what they think. So
yeah, cool.
Yeah. Has there been any place that you've went to that you're just like, nope, I'm not going back there. Nope. Just
believe it or not, I used to own a tattoo studio, and I got to the point where I didn't want to work there no more because that's one of the places where I seen a full-on apparition.
Oh, really?
It was a guy that disappeared in front of my face, and it completely evaporated, and that has got to be the most scariest experience I've ever had in my life.
Were you by yourself in the tattoo shop?
Yeah, I was actually decorating it, and I was waiting for the guy coming in to fix the alarms, and my phone was keep going staticky, and because I was playing music through it. I was like, what the hell's going on here? And I went to fix my phone, turned around and seen the guy standing behind us, and I went, oh, hang on 2 seconds, I'll just put my paintbrush down in my phone. And then as I turned around and looked at him, he just evaporated in front of us. And I can remember exactly what he was wearing. He was it looks like he was from the 1940s era.
Okay.
With a comb over hair, and he had like a tank top pullover on, and even down to the grey pants he was wearing.
Wow. So it was a very descriptive, very in-depth. It wasn't just like a shadow person or anything else.
No. He was I thought he was a person.
That would have freaked me out too. Did you do any research to try to figure out who it was, or? anything else?
Yeah, I did. After that, I got my first team who I've become a part of, and my second team actually. I got them both in, and basically, I used to put on loads of rock music and stuff like that, very loud, and it used to turn down. And there was no way it could have. It wasn't like a remote control, and you could see it physically turning down. And then we got loads of EVPs going shh, and the tattoo studio. It used to be a picture house, like an old picture house.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we think he was a guy who owned the place and he didn't want noise.
Yeah, didn't like the loud noise in there, so yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything weird when you had people in there and you were doing tattoo work?
There was loads of people seeing shadows walking past the door and a corridor where it was dead end and would go out and there was nothing there.
Really? So even the patrons are seeing it?
Yeah, and there was a dance studio just across the hallway, and the little girls and boys used to see a man standing watching them all the time. Dark hair, same sort of description as what I've seen.
That is crazy. So yeah, basically just said, this is my property, I'm going to stay here, and whoever comes in has got to deal with me because I'm not leaving. Type of thing.
Yeah, he's probably still there now. I left not long after that.
So some of the other places you've gone to, is there anything that's just been like, we're used to spirit, we're used to voices, we're used to like just maybe some electrical type things. Is there anything that's happened at any of the investigations you won that you were just like, whoa, that was amazing? That was just...
I would say this wasn't on an investigation. I used to work in nightclubs because I was a bouncer for 20 years.
Oh, nice.
My daughter used to work behind the bar at one of the nightclubs, and my ex-partner used to work on the doors with me. So there's this club that we worked at, and we used to have to sit and wait for the manageress every night because she refused to lock up by herself.
Right.
Wait for my daughter finishing as well. So we used to sit and have a glass of Coke before we're finished, and you used to get things like coins thrown across the dance floor at you, and there was nobody else in there. Then shot glasses and stuff like that would be thrown at you, and like I say, there was nobody there at all. So that was amazing. I loved that.
So when stuff like that happened, did people know that what you did? Did they know that you were a medium and that you could sense others and stuff like that?
They knew I could sense stuff, but they didn't know like I wasn't the paranormal.
Okay.
The way I mean, I think it was not long after that when I really became involved in it.
Okay. I just didn't know if we were like, it was Kell. Kell brought something with her. It's her fault.
No, that was something that was there before even the nightclub was there.
Oh. Yeah, it's interesting because, I mean, we get a lot of stuff over here in our locations, but where you're at, it's just society has been around so much longer.
Yeah.
So, and I imagine that some of the, I mean, we have a lot of like Native American, indigenous person type stuff happen here because basically, you know, I mean, they were here first and we took over their land and everything else. Yeah. Is there anything that is significant like that back there that seems to be the most, I don't want to say the most riled, but seems to be when you look back and you're like, well, like for us, a lot of times it's like, well, you guys built this on Indian burial ground, or you guys built this on this land and stuff like that. Is there anything that back there that kind of ties into your history and you're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense? So,
I mean, there's a lot of like maritime history where around the places where I live, we have like the shipbuilders and stuff like that, and there's things often seen down that way that ties in with that history and stuff like that. I mean, I live, I would say, about 200 yards away from Hadrian's Wall, but I'm yet to see a Roman soldier ghost or anything like that. So
yeah, anything tied in from because I'm again nerd. Anything tied into like a lot of the history of the World War II stuff for the bombings and everything else?
There was actually the place that I was investigating on Halloween. There was a little boy, spirits supposed to have haunted that place, and apparently there was a unexploded, get me words out right, unexploded bomb had landed in his back garden, and him and his dad went down to have a look at it, and it went off and obviously took them both out.
That's crazy. So
Yeah.
hold on, I just lost my messaging. I forget what's going on. So you're being asked by Nikki, have you gone to any other European countries to investigate?
No, not yet. I would love to.
Like on your bucket list?
Yeah, but my next place I'm going to is obviously over the pond to you guys.
Right. Yeah, I saw that. So she's also asking, where do you want to go? What is on your bucket list?
God, there's so many places. I'd love to go to Rome, Egypt.
Yeah.
But like I say, my thing is I've always wanted to go to the States to investigate there.
Yeah.
Like penitentiaries and stuff like that, or asylums. Most of ours, like, we don't have abandoned asylums or stuff like that over here. They get knocked down more or less straight away. So
yeah, we have tons of them here. So we keep them for posterity.
Yeah.
So Rosie wants to know, and I'm sure other people are too, because I forgot to ask you, but Rosie's asking, nice accent, where are you from?
I'm from northeast of England. It's basically Newcastle upon Tyne, and we're classed as Geordies because of the region that we're from.
Yeah.
So we've got a really weird accent. We've got a totally different dialect, and when we start talking in our dialect, nobody at all can understand it. Even people in my own country can't understand it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Nikki says the same thing I was going to mention too. We went to Rome, and she says that she wishes that I would have had my abilities when we were in Rome, but I didn't have them at the time. So I really wish I would have, because it would have been interesting, because we did like the Colosseum. We did all the churches. We did a lot of stuff. So it was very interesting to have been there, but I don't know how much it would have set me off if I have had my abilities walking through there. So that would have been interesting. Hi, Melody. How you doing, brother? Yeah, hello. Good seeing you. Hey, you're the first Melody. I think you're my first Hawaiian to show up. So good girl. So and Rosie's saying nice to meet you. So I know that for me, it would have been interesting to have my abilities when I was over there, but I'm really interested in going. For me, I kind of want to go to Ireland. I think that would be a really cool place to go to.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people who, some of the people that we know have been over there for like an investigation as a group. Riverside, Iowa Paranormal, or RIP, one of their main people, Michelle Roos, she actually helped establish to get a group together last year, and they went. And it was really cool. So they had some fun. So, yeah. And my wife's saying Scotland would have been nice.
Yeah, I have been there. I've been to a few haunted places in Scotland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be very cool for us to go to, because right now I've just been around here. It would have been really interesting if I would have had these when I was military, because I'm prior military.
Yeah.
And I went to 48 different countries in 8 years. So it would have been very interesting to deal with them when I was doing with those. Rosie came in kind of late, but she was asking if you had your abilities your entire life.
I've 6-year-old was when it started. After, like I say, I had an operation and I flatlined on the operating theatre.
Yeah.
And that's when my mum and dad, well, not my dad so much, my dad didn't believe in it really. My mum says that's when it started happening. Yeah.
So since you were little. Michael is asking, do you have any big plans coming up for you in the paranormal? I get the feeling Michael knows this answer. So.
Apart from going to the States and investigating over there, and doing a few more different podcasts, obviously I do a one with Michael, which is on this Thursday. But I've done a history one with a friend of mine, Scott, who does a haunted paranormal channel, and so I'm going to be doing a history one with him.
Very nice. That's awesome. Do you know when that's going to be?
It was meant to start this month, but he took ill, so we're having to put it back a little bit till he's better.
So when you come over here to the States, when are you coming over to the States?
It's depends. It's this year, definitely this year.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully sooner rather than later. I'm just waiting to get my passport, get my finger out, get my passport, and then go from there.
Yeah, I just didn't know if you already had do you have a set itinerary that you're coming over here with? You're like, this is where I'm going this time, this is where I'm going this time, or are you just showing up and going, well, what do I want to do now? Is it?
Originally, I was meant to be going down to New Orleans for the FEAR-Fest with like the Paralanx team, but my ex-partner was in Arizona, so I was meant to be going over there with him. So, but things happened. We broke up, but we're very good friends and that now. So,
but you're still coming out this way, so
yeah,
very
definitely.
Cool. Yeah,
just I haven't got a clue what's happening yet.
Yeah, you're just showing up and
yeah.
You need to look into the probably one of the things, just a suggestion, but you may want to look into what Paracons are going on before you get here.
Yeah.
See if there's any of them you can just kind of show up at when you're here.
Yeah. I really want to go to the Tombstone one. Desperately want to go to that one.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
Yeah.
Trying to see. Rosie's asking, have you ever been to Transylvania?
Nope. I wish.
Yeah. There's a lot of places out here when you get here. I mean, I'm sure you've already kind of researched a lot of them, but you know, there's a lot of just, is there any out here when you do come out that you're just like, I definitely want to go to this one. I definitely want to go to this one. Are there any of the big name ones that you just know that you're going to go investigate when you're out here?
Yeah, I want to go to the Winchester Mystery House, Gofield in Arizona.
Yeah.
As well as Tombstone. I want to go to Roswell as well. I don't know why. I just need to go.
Yeah, Roswell is really cool.
Yeah.
I would tell you I'll tell you when you go to Roswell, go during the day and then go again during the night. Because they're two totally different vibes. I'm from the West Coast area, so I've kind of done everything up and down the West Coast. Not really investigating, but I've been through all the places. But there's a totally different vibe day to night there. Even as someone without abilities, you're just like, oh, this is kind of cool. So, but yeah, I can understand. And Rosie's saying, when you come over, would you visit Skinwalker Ranch?
Oh, in a heartbeat, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. That's I think that's one of the places I want to go to as well. Now that my wife and I have formed our own team recently. We used to be part of another team, but now we kind of did our own. So now we're just kind of planning on places to go. We're going to do some local stuff here first before we start branching out to some of the bigger, well-known places, because we have so many cool places. We're kind of like right in the middle of the United States. I'm in Omaha, Nebraska. So we're like right in the middle. And there's a lot of just little cool unknown places around here that I get word from just the locals. We've actually been invited to a couple of them, so I'm going to go check out some of those before we start breaking off. And we will literally be the first people to go and investigate some of these places. So it'll be interesting to be able to report back what we're finding just for stuff on our own.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That'll be interesting to do that.
Yeah.
So do you have anything with your team that you're doing coming up? Do you guys have anything planned over there right now?
Well, I haven't got anything planned at the moment. I did another investigation on the 16th of January. We're meant to be going to the place that were done in Halloween. But they weren't really that keen on having investigators back in. So I had booked a really good medium to come up to do that because we're being filmed. And so I didn't want to let him down. So we ended up booking a place called Nelson, which is a museum for, it's like the Northeast Land, Air and Sea Museum, something like that.
Oh, okay.
And it's got like not Spitfires, like World War II airplanes and
Oh,
stuff like that, and
Yeah.
World War II fire engines and stuff. It's pretty amazing, the place. It's got such a vibe to it.
Yeah.
One of my old team leaders came with us because a couple of me team members dropped out,
Hmm.
and so I had to get him in. And he's a skeptic when it comes to mediums, and I can't say any more good things about this medium because he's absolutely amazing. And so Drew, his name is, wanted to know if there was anything specific he could pick up about this truck. And the medium was like, right, well, I can feel as though like somebody's been shot in the eye. He's holding his eye and stuff like that, but I also feel as though there was bodies in the back. And Drew went, no, I want the exact words. And I'm standing there, I'm like, he's just said the exact words. Somebody got shot in the face, in the eye, like in the front seat, and they got shot in the eye. And it's like, he's just said that, and he still wouldn't have it.
Oh, let me see. I want to see. Rosie is saying, I would like to see a place to see. If I hear or see anything either of you recommend. Anything that we would recommend a place. For me, like I said, I haven't been out to many of the big ones. For people who don't know, my abilities are new to me, a little over a year, so I really haven't done too much investigations. But I don't need to be on an investigation for stuff to come to me. They seem to come to me all the time. I really had to shut it down in my own house because otherwise it would just be like a revolving door in my home, and I don't want that to happen. But as far as the investigation side, I want to investigate everywhere just because that's how I am. I don't care. I pick up on stuff in places where nothing's ever been reported, but I don't know if it's just someone passing through at that area or something did happen. It's just never been reported or what. So it's kind of interesting to kind of go through what you're going to go to the Winchester Mystery House. That's what you're saying. And I've been there. I actually walked through that, of course, again, before my abilities, but I walked through that place. It's huge. And it's very cool. It would be very interesting to get your take on it. For me to ask you questions after you've been in there to see what you saw, what you felt, what you heard, type of thing. So and Jamie's saying everything is haunted if you listen. True, very true. Unfortunately, I don't try listening all the time, and they still want to let me know. But yeah, I would be interested in hearing about the places that you went to when you come over here, and kind of like what your experiences were and what kind of evidence you picked up and how you did it. And did you, when you come over, are you planning on just working with teams that you know, or are you trying to get involved with other teams over here that when they kind of do like group investigations, just kind of filter in with them?
I've got a fair few friends over there that's invited us, so I'm gonna just go and stay with one of my friends and travel around.
Okay. Yeah, because I know that, like I said, we're Midwest here. I don't know if you're going to make it out to the Midwest at all, if you're just going to stay to the West. But if you're going to come out to the Midwest, I would love to put you in touch with people that are out here, especially in Iowa. I know a lot in Iowa. They have the Edinburgh Manor out here and a couple of other places that are all in the area, and they kind of investigate right there. There's two big teams that are right there, and they have a lot of stuff. 13 steps. They have a train yard, a bunch of other places out here that are very cool to investigate. And they do like invite people along with their team to come investigate, which is what Nikki and I are going to try to look at doing, is team them up with a couple of other teams just to kind of investigate and kind of learn more about what's going on and stuff like that. So so if you come out to the Midwest, let me know, and I'll hook you up with some of my friends out here, and they'll grab you along and take you with them. So
that's good for me.
So Rosie's saying, I love going to my birthplace in Rosebud. My energy is really high there, and to the cemetery where my mother is buried in Mission, South Dakota.
Wow.
Yeah, have you done cemeteries?
Yes. Yeah, there's a few around here, obviously.
I have a question about cemeteries because there's two thought processes that I keep hearing, and I'm interested on your input on here. A lot of people say cemeteries are a great place to visit because obviously the dead are buried there.
Oh.
But I also hear a lot of, well, why would you go to a cemetery? Because obviously the spirit's not going to stay where they're buried. They're going to go wander off somewhere else. So what are your thought processes for cemeteries?
There's quite a few cemeteries like around our area that are actually haunted. People have actually died in them. So it's not exactly like newer cemeteries. Like I say, we have actually got haunted ones here. We've actually down the road from where I live, we've got an Anglo-Saxon burial mound in one of the cemeteries as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
cool.
I tell the story of when I was military and we would sleep in cemeteries. My team would, because a lot of the local populace believed that you shouldn't be around cemeteries at night because the dead come to life, kind of like a zombie. And we would sleep in them knowing we were safe if we were in not so friendly territories. And there's many times we walk through the villages afterwards and people are talking about all the noises that were coming from the cemetery overnight. It's because I had a couple people that snored and they were hearing them snore. So but they thought it was the spirits coming to life.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I mean, we used to play in cemeteries as kids and stuff like that. And like, there's a lot of we're seeing things like from back then, but we weren't scared.
Yeah.
Like at the time, but thinking about it now, it's like, oh my God.
Oh yeah. I did so many stupid things when I was little. My buddy and I actually got buried for Halloween one night in a cemetery because we would. It was an annual ritual that we would all go to a certain cemetery and sit around and tell ghost stories to each other in the cemetery. And me and my friend decided we were going to get buried very shallow so we can still hear everything. And we were actually using little like reeds so we can breathe through. And it looked like they were freshly done graves. And so we had a couple buddies in on it, and they sat everybody around those new grave sites to tell stories. And one of the stories was about how the people in the cemetery come to life. And when we heard that, we both reached out and grabbed whoever was next to us. That went over great. They all ran. Everyone just scattered.
I can imagine.
It was amazing. It was one of the best pranks I pulled. So, like I said, a lot of dumb things in cemeteries when I was younger, but I don't do that anymore. So, and Rosie's saying, yes, Rosie, you are right. Boys will be boys.
Yeah.
That was definitely us when we were younger. I'm still no better now, but I'm still just as dumb as ever. I don't think I'll ever grow up.
I think nobody these days ever grows up.
Oh no, I don't think so. Mine's planned. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
But so that'll be interesting because when you come over, like I said, I'm really, especially with some of the places you're going, because you're talking about Tombstone.
Yeah.
History there. Just a monster history there. And I'm really wondering what you'll go across when you're there. I wonder if you'll pick up anybody famous, or if it's just all going to be just, the local populace that just went through the mining, because that was a huge mining town and everything else like that. So the miners and stuff like that, or if you'll actually come across anybody with an agenda to try to pick up somebody who may have passed away there, from history. That'll be interesting. That'll be good.
Yeah, I can't wait. I really can't wait to get there.
Yeah, that's a good one. I hadn't thought about that one.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, it seems like here, at least people who I'm friends with on Facebook or YouTube or anything else, a lot of them seem to be East Coast. A lot of Gettysburg, which is a big one.
Yeah. That's
Gettysburg.
another place I want to go to, yeah.
Yeah, and then a lot of like Florida places. There's tons of Florida places that it seems. There's a lot of teams in Florida. I'm probably friends with 9 or 10 teams out of Florida alone. That's crazy. How many? So Rosie's saying Salem.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah, Salem would be a great one. And Debbie's saying woohoo Florida. Yeah. Blah blah blah. I gotta pick on her because she's on my show next week. She's gonna get ready for it now. Rosie's saying, yeah, small towns, museums in the Midwest or Western states. Yep. And it's really weird here because, like, if I drive from here to some of my friends' house up in mid Iowa, so like a 4-hour drive between me to them.
Wow.
One of the roads I take off to is a little 2-lane road, and it seems like going down that road, I will pass probably 30 churches that are still active, but they're out in the middle of nowhere.
Wow.
And then next to every single one of them is like its own private cemetery. And there's maybe anywhere from 5 to 30 headstones, and that's it. And they're very small. It's almost just like for the small community that you live in right there, but everyone's being buried in the same place. But it's very interesting to drive the road because the road is nothing but cornfields or just plains, and then just these churches that stick out all over the place. And the churches aren't small. They're huge. Yeah. But you don't see any population around. So you're like, where are all these people coming from that they can afford to do this? And in some of those smaller places like that, I'd be really interested in checking out too, just kind of stopping at each little one and trying to figure out. There's one here that Nikki and I are going to go investigate. It's called Spring Ranch. And it's actually an abandoned ghost town, but everything is left standing. It's about 2 hours away from us. But they said there's a lot of activity, but it's one of those places where it looks like everybody just picked up and left at once.
Yeah.
But they just left everything.
That'd be cool.
So it would be really interesting to go there and kind of go through some of those places. So you're up north. Are you in a larger town, or do you have a lot of the smaller communities around you, like a lot of the rural areas?
I live in the suburbs of a city.
Okay. So I'm wondering if you've ever investigated some of the smaller places outside the suburbs, like just some of the rural areas, if you have anything out there that you've gone to kind of out in the countrysides or out of kind of nowhere type of lands.
Yeah, there's absolutely loads of places out in the countryside to investigate. There's a place that we call oh God, I can't even remember the name of that. Winter's Gibbet. It's where they used to hang the bodies at the crossroads and or in the chains for it to rot away and stuff like that. We've got like loads of abandoned and run-down castles and stuff like that. So, but I used to have a house up in the countryside in a place called A.S.A.P, and I lived in a 300-year-old converted barn. And that was got to be the most haunted place I've ever lived in my life.
Really?
We used to have like my jewelry box would open and slam shut. Like during the night, I would go out the bedroom, come back in, it would be open. We used to hear people walking around the bed at night time because you could hear the floorboards creaking. You could tell exactly where they were in the bedroom when they were walking. We heard a recorder playing at 3 o'clock in the morning, a little girl giggling. I've actually got a photo from when I was outside and I took it of the windows of the house, and there was a little girl with a riding cap on sitting in the window. Like you can just see her outline. And it wasn't until I moved out, my old cleaner called us and she went, "Did you ever see anything when you lived here?" I was like, "I've seen a lot of things in that house." And basically she went, "Oh, did you ever see a little girl in here?" I was like, yeah. She told us that basically the people that used to own it years ago, their little girl had a horse and she was riding up the lane where we lived, and the horse threw her, and obviously it killed her. And our dad was so upset, he basically had a camper van, went inside, turned all the gases on, and blew himself up.
Wow.
But like I say, I didn't know about the little girl dying off her horse until after that, and so that's what the photo is.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So, how about where you live now? Anything in
The reason
anything in your location?
the house I live in now is the reason why I want to live here and do not want to move, because it's the only house that's never been haunted. I love investigating, but not in my house.
Right. Yeah. So I have a history lesson from people up top. So Rosie is telling me there is a difference between a cemetery with a church and a cemetery by itself, a graveyard. Maybe not sure of the wording. And Debbie explained a graveyard is next to a church. A cemetery is no church. I couldn't tell you which one was which when I was out there because, like I said, all the churches are there. And there are, I don't know if you want to call them cemeteries or graveyards, but they're all probably within 100 yards of the church. So I don't know if it's on church property or not. So I couldn't tell you if it was a graveyard or a cemetery. So, but yes, apparently I was unaware that there are two different terms for graveyard and cemetery. So interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I did not know. I just thought they were interchangeable, but now I know better. So thank you for that lesson. So I learned so much when I'm on my show. It's crazy. So I'm trying to think of when you were with your past teams, is there anything that because I think you're on your third team now, right? Is that right?
Oh God, hang on, let's think. Fourth. This is my team is me fourth one, yeah.
Okay. Is there anything that you started off with your first team with? I'm going to ask this both ways. Is there anything you started off with your first team that you have changed, like just said, nope, we're not doing that again by the time you got to your fourth team? And is there anything that you have carried with you from your first to fourth team because you were like, yeah, I like how we've done this type of thing?
I mean, when I was with the first team, there was that many away, and basically there was the core members. So they used to like get to use the equipment and stuff like that, and we just used to sit back and observe. I didn't used to really get involved as much, like in the practical side of it. So, but by the time I went into my second team, which technically I'm still part of because we're still a team, but we just haven't done anything for a few years.
Yeah.
That's when I started. I mean, I've got a love of history, and I always have done since I was at school. So I joined that team as a historical researcher, and basically that was the turning point for me, like researching all the history and stuff like that into it.
Yeah.
And everything. Yeah. So the thing that I've carried from my first team, I've always had a chrysoberyl crystal because apparently it stops negative energies attaching itself to you. So I've always had that.
Very cool. Yeah, it's interesting because, like I said, we've only really been part of one team since we were new. But even from that one team, there's good and bad that we already picked up from it. So we're still in the learning sessions now, which is why we're kind of doing our own thing, but we still want to team up with other teams to see some of what they do, type of things. Because I know that with Nikki and I being on our own, we're going to make mistakes. There's just no way around that. But especially with me on the team, oh my goodness, just that'll be me. I'm that guy that has no fear and just is too dumb to know any better. Is the best way to put it. So God help my wife when we go on investigations. She'll be the sensible one, and I'll be the one getting attacked. So apparently, excuse me. Apparently, Rosie had to leave us for a second because she says my husband just got freaked out. Our garage light is on and it hasn't worked for years, so I have to go investigate. I'll be right back. Then she said men. So, right? I know. Right? It's always us. We don't know any better. And Jamie, poor Nikki. I know. I feel for her too, and she's my wife. So every day it's going to be something. Yeah, but it's been interesting, kind of listening to the dynamics of other teams that I've had on, like investigators, to hear how some of them, how they work together, how their dynamic works together, what roles they play, and everything else. So it'll be interesting, especially for us, because we're just going to be a two-person starting off, with thoughts maybe later, seeing how it goes, to expand. But right now, I just kind of want to do it on our own. Just kind of see how we do and what we can do on our own. I'm very curious to see the extent of my abilities, without having others there for me to have to rely on.
Yeah.
Because when we've been out with teams, we've always been with other mediums or other people that have abilities and stuff like that. So it'll be very interesting to see. And I don't want to say this the wrong way, but I'm going to say this the wrong way, to see if I have a limit to my abilities.
Right.
So yeah. And Nikki is saying, yeah, she'll be the one not wanting to go into some places, and I'll be the one that just busts in. So yeah, that's me. We've been to a couple places, and someone's like, "Oh, that place right there feels really negative. I think there's a portal there, and it's behind the door." And I just open the door. Where is it? I want to explain this thing. And they're like, "You're an idiot." And I'm like, "Yes, but I'm the one that's always going to be the one that wants to know." Luckily, I will not have the fear to stop me from ever investigating something.
Yeah.
I am always that curious one, and I am always the one that does not really have a definition of fear built into me. So
yeah. I mean, I used to be like petrified of the paranormal when I first started out, and now, I mean, it got to a point where when I was on part of Ghost Investigate, my second team, the first night I actually investigated with them, I had a head cam on, and they made us do a lone vigil, which I did in this hangar, and I was asking if anybody was there and can they make a banging noise or whatever, and all of a sudden I got these 3 loud bangs coming from the back, and I pooped my pants. That's just saved the door, and the door was a lip over the door. I tripped over it and face planted the floor, and I picked up, dusting myself off. Right, okay, nobody's seen that. And then 2 weeks later, the team leader rang us, went, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah." He went, "Are you sure?" He went, "Because you really hit that floor, didn't you?" Oh God, I forgot I had a head cam on. Embarrassing.
Well, Michael said he loves that story, so
yeah. Mm-hmm. Told it a few times.
Yeah,
I don't, like I say, I can't run now, so I don't run.
Yeah,
but I'm just not scared anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was very weird, and because when it first happened to me, like I told you before the show, I just saw somebody, and for me it wasn't like I was just kind of like, all right, that was cool. Now what? So it was very. Yeah. I just don't have those kind of reactions to a lot of things. It's just how I'm built. I think I've seen too much in my life to be surprised by anything anymore. And when it happens, I'm like, cool, we'll just move on from here.
Yeah.
But I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for that moment to where I'm like shock and awe. I thought it would be when I saw my first elemental, but that didn't happen either. I saw my first elemental and I went, "Oh, there's an elemental." Wow. I was like, "That's cool." And they were like, "What?" And I'm like, "I can see an elemental." And they're like, "You cannot." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's right there." So, yeah.
I'm convinced I've seen some sort of woodland spirit, maybe a jackalope. I was with my daughter, we were coming back from our work. That's when we lived in the countryside, and we're taking like one of the farmers' roads back home. And the next thing we know, this deer jumped out in front of her, and so it was running. It couldn't go left or right because there was hedgerows either side. So it's running in front of her, and it started shrinking as it was running. And it wasn't getting further away; it was just actually shrinking.
Right.
And then as we got along, me and my daughter were like, "What the hell is going on here? Like, are we seeing things or what?" And like I say, it just kept on shrinking. And as it turned into the farmer's field where the gate was, it was a rabbit.
Oh.
So we can't explain it. We don't know whether it magically jumped out the way and a rabbit like sort of jumped in the way. Right. There's no way we can explain it. We even thought we might have had a shared delusion or Just no way. If
Yeah.
even my daughter now, she's like, "Mom, we must have been like hallucinating or something."
It might have been very interesting if at that point you guys had a dimensional shift, so you were actually seeing something from another dimension. So, and then they came back when you hit that corner. It shifted back, and what in our life was a rabbit, but during that dimensional shift, it was whatever it was taking the place of the rabbit, and then when it turned, it came back to the rabbit. So, I do a lot of research for that stuff too. So, like I said, total nerd. So.
Yeah, like I say, I mean, in the countryside, we get to see a load of amazing things, especially in the sky.
Yeah.
Like black shapes and that going across the sky and like blocking out the stars and stuff like that. No sound to it whatsoever.
Yeah.
So, like I say, when we seen the deer turn into a rabbit, that freaked we both out of because we thought we were going crazy. But I mean, two of us seeing the same thing.
Right.
That wasn't us going crazy. We're actually seeing that happen.
And that's why I'm wondering if it's a dimensional shift, because I know that there's been experiences for people who have driven through locations, and once they hit a certain location, the energy shifts, and what should be there, what we're used to seeing, is something totally different, and then they end up on the other side of it, and all of a sudden it's back to normal, and it's just a dimensional shift they've gone through. So curious. So Rosie, that's good, Rosie. I'm glad that you're back and everything is safe, along with the lawnmower, and and your husband's okay. So that's good. Rosie's asking, what do you think about trees moving?
I mean, the only ones that I've seen like moving on command and stuff like that has been on TikTok and stuff like that, but I don't believe everything I see on TikTok. But I mean, I used to be in witchcraft and stuff like that years ago, so I do believe that everything does have like spirits and stuff like that. So it's a possibility they do.
Yeah. I have a very strong belief in my indigenous background and my Norse background, so I believe everything has some form of life force too. So I think that that's very possible. Jamie's saying that it could have been a fae of some sort. Very good, very very possible. And she would be the one to know. She's our fae expert. She's our fae whisperer. We'll go with that. But and you mentioned it, so let's bring it up. I haven't thrown that up there yet. So since you mentioned TikTok, guess what? If you want to find Kell, that's where you go. There's 2 different TikToks out here. Notice that? You'll notice that one says TikTok number 1, and then one says TikTok number 2. The number 2 one is really listed towards the paranormal side of the house. I went out there. I made sure both of them worked, so they're not false. So feel free to go out there and check out Kell on her TikTok. And since I do this anyways, I am going to grab it because I know how people are. Plus, it works for our audience later when they start watching the recordings. But I throw it up into our chat as well, or into our comments, so they can find you out there as well. And she said it's the rabbit that makes her think of the fae. So,
right.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I spoke to a friend that like obviously does cryptids and stuff like that, and he seems to think it was a jackalope, because apparently where we are, apparently there's been a few sightings of them.
Yeah.
So.
Yep, very possible. Michael says Kell makes awesome videos on TikTok. So there you go.
I only do them because I'm camera shy. It was a way of like stopping us from being so shy on camera. So horrendous.
Rosie, can we repeat what name? Which one? You'll have to let me know what name what you're asking for. But Rosie also says, I've had dreams, but some I don't remember, but others I remember. Would they be memories or going back and watching?
I've had a past life dream that I had many years ago, and I had it regressed, and I got the story published in a magazine. But them dreams were very, very vivid. That's how I know that they weren't just normal dreams.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Jamie. You're wonderful. No, she was asking for the TikTok stuff. She was asking for the TikTok stuff, which is why I posted it. So, but yeah, and that's how I tell a lot of people. There's definitely a difference between a dream and a memory, or a dream and even a dream and an astral travel. They are definitely different. I always tell people the dreams are something that you have. The astral travel or the memories are something you experience. It feels very real, very much right to you, and it seems like even when you get up or when you wake up from it, you're like, okay, that was really weird. Because I've experienced a couple of times where I have woken up only to realize I haven't woken up. I've woken up from whatever I was in, still in something. So I've had to wake up again, just to get to where I was. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. So how many steps did I go back into that one and experience that?
I mean, like when I was younger, I used to have dreams about things of people, you know, like see if somebody was telling us a lie, I would have a dream, and like the truth would come to us in a dream. Or like a dead relative would come to us in a dream and tell us stuff that I couldn't have possibly known, and then I passed it on to the relative, and they were a little bit shocked. But a lot of my like gift used to come through in the dream for a long time.
Yeah, I think a lot of my past experiences all come through to me in some form of dream state. And I tell people it's really weird how some of it comes out, because like in a lot of my, what we would call dreams, I do not believe they're dreams. I believe there's something of a memory or something of a past, because when I run, I always run faster on all fours than I do on my two legs, almost like I'm an animal of some sort. And I really think that ties back to my dogman memories of one of my Native American dogmans, which are fierce fighting warriors. And it is believed that when they came about, when they fell into their dogman, basically spirits, they would turn into dogs, and they were like wolf pack, and we were a family of wolf packs. How we roamed was on all fours, and that's how the experience happens. So I think that very much ties into a lot of my past. Jamie says, I see people and faces in a lot of mine, so I know they aren't all dreams. Correct. Interesting enough, in dreams, I tell people this too. In dreams, you cannot read words or letters, and you cannot see numbers.
That's right. Yeah.
So if you have an experience where you are reading something or you are seeing numbers, it is not a dream. It is a memory. Or it's an alternate location. And Jamie, one thing with that too, with being able to see the faces, is somehow I have come across the ability of, if I see a face and I don't like that face, I can adjust it to be somebody else's face, which has been very interesting in some of my dreams, because I've dreamt of, I've wanted to see somebody or, something else, and this person will show up, but I don't like the person that's there. So I will alter that person in my dream state to be someone I want it to be. So it's been interesting to start experimenting with that too. And I've also been able to experiment with waking up from a dream-like state, even though it wasn't I don't believe it to be a dream, but I've been able to fall asleep and put myself back right where it ended and start up again.
Yeah.
So I think those are memories as well. And I'm just trying to focus on what happened in that memory or in that past.
I once dreamt of the winning lottery numbers, and I gave them to me kids' dad at the time, told them to put them on, and all of the numbers came out. But the only problem was I didn't realise he had put 3 of my numbers on with 3 of his, and then he done that on the next line, like the last 3 numbers with 3 more of his. Instead of putting all 6 on the one, then I would have been a millionaire. But unfortunately, I think we won £20. For the 2 lines, getting 3 numbers right on 2 lines.
You're like, great, that was fantastic.
That was like when I was like 19 years old when that happened. Devastated.
Yeah, I bet.
I've never had that dream ever again, unfortunately.
Like, come on,
Keep
one more
wishing for
time.
it.
One more
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think this is a great place to end the show. We've been going, like I said, a little over an hour 10 minutes. I told you it goes by pretty fast.
Yeah.
So, do you have anything left you want to share with us, for the audience? I mean, up to you. If you don't have anything, we're good. But I'm going to share this back out there so people, even though I posted it out there again, this is all for information down there for those people who are curious.
I mean, obviously, I've got mine and Michael's show is called Paranormal Versus. We'll have different guests on different weeks, some from the UK, some from the USA. That's every other Thursday. It's 7:30 UK time. I think it's 1:30 American time. I don't know.
I think right now we're 6 hours since we sprung forward. I think normally we're 7 hours behind you, but now we're 6 hours because we sprung forward.
I can never work it out because there's that many different time zones in America. Yeah. I keep getting confused. So, yeah, I do know it's usually 7:30 for us and 1:30 for you. Well, where Michael is. So, that's on Paralanx YouTube, Parapost. So. It's about
Perfect.
it, really.
Hey, Michael, do me a favor. If you're watching this, Michael, do me a favor and go out and either post this in the comments where you guys are so people can actually find it, or go out to my page, go out to Stuff I Never Learned from a Schoolbook, and post it out there so people know where to find you guys at. Or just now that you're following me, go out and find me on Facebook. If we're not already friends, and friend me, and share me the link so I can share it out with all my audience and all my guests. So I want to be able to do that. Stuart, you're walking in just as we're closing it down, buddy. Sorry you had a long work day. Stuart's one of my friends from Texas that pops in and says hi. Cool. Sounds like he had a long work day, so he'll have to go back and watch the recordings. This was a good one as well. Jamie's saying thank you. This was an awesome show. You're a fabulous guest, which I completely agree with.
Thank you.
Debbie's telling everyone to have a great week. So with that said, I'm going to let you go. Don't go anywhere. I'm just going to throw you to the back really quick, and we'll talk here in a second. But I just want to kind of let the audience know and tell them good night. So thank you for being on. I greatly appreciate it.
No problem.
And again, Nikki's saying thank you very much. So stay tuned. I'll be right back with you, and I'll just shut it down really quick. So I'll be right with you.
Okay.
All right, everyone. Thank you for watching. Again, that was another fantastic show. I'm very happy that we had Kell Ridley on. She was an amazing guest. Thank you for participating, as you always do. It makes it go by so well, and you guys had excellent questions, as you always do. I'd say the same for Stuart, but Stuart was late, so, well, whatever, Stuart, just go watch. And make your comments later. Next week, we have on one of our audience members. We have on Debbie. She's going to be coming onto the show. So get ready for me to be posting out her commercial or her advertisement like I normally do, and get ready for that one. And be sure to come back next Monday, 7 o'clock Central, and we will get her up and running with us. And it'll be interesting to talk with her because she's been an audience member for quite a while, but now we're going to bring her on as a guest, just as we did with Jamie a while ago. So anyways, I want all you to have a great night. Have a wonderful week. Stay safe. And I hope you all do very well for the week. Stay healthy. Remember, love everyone. And we will see you all in a week. So take care. Talk to you next month.